The rain poured relentlessly, blurring the world around them. Then, in a flash, time slowed to a crawl. Leo, the loyal K9, collapsed onto the wet ground, his fur stained with blood. Panic gripped Daniel as he rushed to his partner, his voice cracking with desperation. "Stay with me, Leo. You can't leave me now." The silence that followed felt unbearable, broken only by Daniel's frantic breaths. Suddenly, memories began to flood Daniel's mind. Images of their first mission together, the laughs they shared, the silent understanding that had grown between them over the years. Each flashback revealed the bond they had formed through countless challenges. The screen fades to black, and Daniel's voice echoes through the stillness. "You saved me so many times. Now it's my turn." But what happens when the one who always saves you is the one in need of saving? Will this unbreakable bond survive the hardest test of all? Or will it shatter under the weight of fear and pain? The answer to that question will change everything. Stay with us. This is only the beginning of their journey. The screech of tires echoes through the night as Daniel's patrol car slams to a halt outside the old industrial complex. The air is thick with tension, but there's no time to second-guess. The situation has gone from bad to worse in an instant. The flashing red and blue lights cast an eerie glow on the rusted factory, and everything feels off. The urgency of the moment kicks in. No more time for fear, just pure instinct. Without warning, gunfire erupts from the shadows, sharp and deafening. Leo, the steadfast K9, charges forward with unmatched courage, but in the chaos, it happens. A single, distinct shot rings out. Time seems to freeze for a heartbeat. Daniel's eyes lock onto Leo, who collapses to the ground, his body trembling. The blood stains the wet pavement. In a single moment, everything Daniel holds dear is in danger. Daniel doesn't hesitate. His training kicks in, but his heart races with panic as he sprints to Leo's side. The bond they share, unspoken but absolute, compels him to act. He scoops Leo up into his arms, ignoring the blood, the chaos, the flashing lights. There's only one thought: get Leo to safety. "Come on, Leo, stay with me." Daniel's voice cracks as he speeds towards the car, his breath shallow with fear. His hands tremble as he drives, his eyes constantly flicking from the road to Leo's still form. The car swerves, tires screeching as if the very wheels can feel the urgency of the moment. Daniel races against time, his mind consumed with a single prayer: don't let him die. The rain pours harder, but all Daniel can think of is Leo, his partner, his friend. The clock is ticking, and they're running out of time. The sterile silence of the veterinary waiting room feels suffocating. Daniel sits in a cold, plastic chair, his fingers gripping the armrests as if they could somehow steady the storm brewing inside him. He stares at the door to the surgery room, every second feeling like an eternity. The clock on the wall ticks mercilessly, each moment dragging by with the weight of his fear. His mind races, but it can't escape the images of Leo lying motionless in his arms, the blood, the gunfire. His thoughts swirl through the years of memories. Missions that seemed impossible, victories, losses, but above all, the bond that had been forged in the heat of battle. Leo had always been there, an unwavering presence, his keen eyes scanning the world with silent understanding. Daniel's chest tightens. What if that was all over now? What if he lost him forever? The door to the waiting room opens, and Officer Jenny Ross steps inside, her face softening as she sees Daniel. She sits down beside him, her voice quiet but steady. "How's he doing?" Daniel runs a hand through his hair, his voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know. I don't know if I can handle losing him. He's more than just a partner. He's everything." Jenny places a hand on his shoulder, a silent gesture of support. "He's tough, Daniel. He'll pull through. You know him." But Daniel's mind can't stop racing. He stares at the door, waiting for someone, anyone, to come and tell him it will be okay. But all he hears is the ticking of the clock, each second a reminder of the uncertain future. As the hours stretch on, the weight of the possibility of losing Leo settles deeper in his chest. What would life look like without him? The thought is almost unbearable. He feels like he's lost his anchor, the one thing that always made him feel grounded. There's an emptiness inside him that grows with every passing minute. He tries to push it away, but the fear, the uncertainty, and the guilt, was there something more he could have done? Start to consume him. In the stillness of that moment, Daniel's eyes well up, but he quickly blinks them away. He can't break down, not now. Not when Leo is still fighting for his life. Then, the door to the surgery room opens. A soft voice breaks the silence. He's alive, but it's critical. He'll need extensive rehabilitation. Daniel exhales in a rush, his heart catching in his throat. Leo's not out of the woods yet, but at least, for now, he has a chance. He sinks back into the chair, the burden of the unknown still hanging heavy, but with a flicker of hope finally breaking through. The sound of Daniel's phone buzzing cuts through the quiet of his apartment. He picks it up, his hands shaking as he reads the message from the rehabilitation center. Leo is stable. He's responding well to treatment. For the first time in weeks, a spark of hope flickers in Daniel's chest. It's not the miracle he was praying for, but it's enough, a lifeline. The relief that washes over him is almost overwhelming, but it doesn't last long. The anticipation quickly builds. What will Leo be like now? Will he remember him? What if things have changed forever? These thoughts swirl in Daniel's mind as he grabs his keys and heads out the door. The drive to the rehab center feels endless, each mile stretching further than the last. Every moment is charged with a mix of excitement and anxiety, the unknown pulling at him from all sides. As he pulls into the parking lot, Daniel can barely contain his emotions. His heart is racing. He steps out of the car, his mind flashing back to the last time he saw Leo. Lying unconscious, clinging to life. He swallows hard, forcing down the knot in his throat, and walks through the doors of the rehabilitation center. Every step feels like a monumental one, leading him closer to something he can't fully comprehend. When Daniel walks down the hallway, a staff member greets him with a warm smile. "Sergeant Carter, we've been expecting you. Leo's been doing great." She leads him to a large, enclosed yard where dogs are undergoing recovery training. The moment Daniel's eyes land on the far corner, he spots him, Leo. For a moment, everything freezes. The dog is standing quietly near the fence, his body still and composed, just like the first time they met. The scar from the bullet wound is faint but visible along Leo's side. For a second, Daniel wonders if Leo even remembers him. Then, the most incredible thing happens. Leo's ears twitch at the sound of the gate opening, his eyes slowly turning toward the sound. There's a brief pause, a stillness that feels like the world holding its breath. Then, recognition flashes in Leo's eyes. The tail begins to wag, slowly at first, but then faster, as if all the memories of their partnership have rushed back to him in an instant. Leo takes a few hesitant steps forward. His gaze locks with Daniel's, and in that moment, everything comes flooding back. The bond, the trust, the years spent side by side. Daniel's heart skips a beat. "Hey buddy," he whispers, his voice shaking. "It's me. It's Daniel." Leo's hesitation melts away, and before Daniel can even brace himself, the dog charges toward him. The impact of Leo's weight nearly knocks Daniel over, but he holds on tight, his arms wrapping around his partner. Tears blur Daniel's vision as he buries his face in Leo's fur, a laugh escaping him through the tears. "You didn't forget me, did you?" he whispers, his voice thick with emotion. The staff watches from a distance, visibly moved by the raw, powerful reunion. Leo presses his head against Daniel's chest, nuzzling him gently, as if to reassure him that everything will be okay. For the first time in what feels like forever, Daniel feels the crushing weight on his chest begin to lift. They're together again. And in this moment, nothing else matters. The road to recovery will be long. They both know that. But for now, the magic of this reunion is enough to remind them both of the strength they draw from each other. As Daniel pulls back, wiping his eyes, he smiles softly at Leo. "We're not done yet, buddy, but we're in this together." Always, as the days pass, Daniel can see the glimmers of progress in Leo. The dog's strength is returning, his movements becoming more fluid, more confident, but it's not all smooth sailing. In the training sessions at the rehabilitation center, Leo's hesitation is clear. He freezes at the slightest trigger, an unexpected sound, a sudden movement. His body stiffens, his eyes darting nervously as if the shadows of that fateful night are still lurking in his mind, waiting to pounce. Every time Leo freezes, Daniel feels a pang in his chest, a reminder that the trauma isn't just physical. It runs deeper than that. The bond between them has always been a silent understanding, partnership built on trust. But now, that trust is being tested in ways Daniel never imagined. Leo is struggling to reconcile his instincts with the fear that has been seated in his mind. And Daniel is right there beside him, every step of the way. One day, during a training exercise designed to test Leo's response under stress, the dog hesitates in the middle of the task. A loud, sharp noise and equipment malfunction sends Leo into a full freeze. His body goes rigid, his ears flatten, and for a few long moments, he doesn't move. Daniel's heart skips a beat. He steps forward slowly, calling Leo's name softly, his voice steady but full of concern. "Hey, it's okay, Leo. You're safe now. Come on, buddy, you've got this." For a long, painful moment, there's no response. Daniel kneels down beside him, his hand gently brushing through Leo's fur. His voice, calm and reassuring, breaks through the tension. "You're not alone. I'm right here with you." Slowly, Leo's body relaxes. He takes a deep breath, his eyes searching Daniel's face. Then, without another sound, he resumes the task. Still cautious, but moving forward. The moment is small, but it's a victory, and Daniel feels a weight lift off his shoulders. After the session, Daniel meets with Dr. Everett, the lead therapist at the rehab center. He's concerned, how much longer will this take? Can Leo truly recover from this trauma? Dr. Everett listens patiently before offering a gentle but firm reassurance. Trauma like this doesn't heal overnight, Daniel. Leo is making progress, real progress, but it's going to take time. What's important is that you both have an unbreakable trust in each other. That's the key. The physical recovery will come, but the mental healing, that's a process. Be patient with him, and be patient with yourself. Daniel nods, taking in the therapist's words. He knows that Leo's healing won't be linear, and there will be setbacks along the way. But the road to recovery isn't one he has to walk alone. He has Leo, and Leo has him. As the days pass, Daniel's approach shifts. He's more patient now, more understanding. Each small step forward, each moment Leo pushes through the fear, reinforces their bond. Daniel doesn't rush Leo. He lets him take his time, offering quiet encouragement, knowing that true healing comes when they face the past, together. It's in these moments of quiet understanding that Daniel realizes something important. Leo might be struggling, but so is he. They're both learning to move forward, to trust again. It's not just Leo who needs healing. It's them. And as long as they have each other, they'll make it through. The day of Leo's final assessment arrives, and the air feels thick with anticipation. Daniel stands at the edge of the training field, watching as the rehabilitation center staff sets up a series of obstacles designed to test everything Leo has been working toward. It's not just about his physical abilities anymore. This is a test of trust. A test of whether Leo can face his fears, push through the trauma, and return to the partner he once was. Daniel watches closely as the staff begins to prepare the course. He feels the familiar pang of anxiety in his chest. They've come so far, but this is the moment that will determine everything. This is the trial that will tell him if Leo is ready to return to active duty. It's about more than just getting through the exercises. It's about whether their bond is strong enough to overcome the scars of the past. The first task is a maze of equipment, designed to test Leo's tracking ability under pressure. Leo moves forward with purpose, his nose to the ground, weaving through the obstacles with the kind of precision Daniel has always relied on. There's no hesitation. It's like the old Leo is back. Daniel feels a spark of hope. But the next challenge is different. A loud, sudden simulated gunshot rings out, shattering the quiet. It's a sharp, jarring noise that sends a shockwave of tension through the air. Daniel watches in real time as Leo freezes, his body going rigid. The memories of that traumatic night flood back to him. The bullet, the chaos, the pain, and for a split second, Leo is trapped in that fear. His ears flatten against his head. His breathing quickens, and he doesn't move. Daniel's heart races. This is it. Will he snap out of it? His hands curl into fists at his sides, but he remains calm, trying to keep his voice steady as he calls to Leo. It's okay, buddy. You're safe. I'm here with you. The seconds stretch on, and the pressure mounts. Daniel steps closer, his voice low but firm. Leo, focus. You've got this. The dog stands there, still. But then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, something shifts. Leo takes a deep breath, his body relaxing just slightly. His gaze refocuses on Daniel. Then, as if snapping out of the trance, Leo moves forward. The sound of the simulated gunshot no longer has the same hold on him. He pushes through the fear. With a burst of energy, Leo continues through the course with the precision Daniel has always known him for. His movements are sharp, focused, unyielding. The rest of the assessment follows, and Leo tackles each obstacle with confidence, never wavering, never hesitating. Every task he completes is a testament to his resilience, both physical and emotional. When they finish the final exercise, the staff stands in quiet awe. Dr. Everett approaches, clipboard in hand, and nods with approval. It wasn't flawless, but it's clear he's more than ready to return to duty. Daniel kneels beside Leo, his heart swelling with pride as he ruffles the dog's fur. We did it, buddy, he says softly, his voice thick with emotion. You came through when it counted. Leo responds with a low, contented bark, his eyes bright with trust. For the first time in what feels like forever, Daniel knows without a doubt that their bond is unshakable. They've faced their fears, together. They've conquered the physical and emotional hurdles that have stood in their way. It's a breakthrough, not just for Leo, but for them both. They're ready, stronger than ever. And as Daniel stands, looking down at his partner, he knows they've earned this moment. They've earned the right to return to the streets together. With a renewed sense of purpose, Daniel and Leo head back to the precinct, side by side, ready to face whatever challenges lie ahead. Whatever the future holds, they know one thing for sure. Together, they are unstoppable. The moment Leo and Daniel walk back into the precinct, the entire room feels alive with energy. Officers clap them on the back, congratulating them for their successful return. The weight of the journey they've been through, Leo's recovery, the struggles, the victories, feels heavy in the air. But in that moment, it's like they've already conquered the hardest part. However, Daniel knows better. He can't shake the feeling that there are still challenges ahead. He's seen the scars on Leo's soul. He's seen the hesitation in his partner's eyes. But for now, he pushes those thoughts aside. Today is about proving that they are back. Leo is ready. Then, the call comes. A burglary in progress at a warehouse on the outskirts of Cedar Creek. Armed suspects are inside, and the situation is tense. The adrenaline hits Daniel like a shot of pure energy. His heart begins to race as he grabs his gear and signals Leo to jump into the patrol car. The sirens wail as they speed through the streets, but there's no time for hesitation, no time to think. The world becomes a blur. Daniel's hands grip the wheel tightly as he steals a glance at Leo in the rearview mirror. The dog's posture is alert, eyes scanning every inch of the road. He's ready. They're ready. When they arrive at the scene, officers are already securing the perimeter. The air is thick with tension. A sergeant briefs Daniel, his voice sharp. We've got 2 suspects inside, possibly armed. They're moving through the loading area. We haven't been able to corner them yet. Daniel nods, his mind already shifting into operation mode. He gives Leo a hand signal, and the dog instantly switches into work mode, his body tense with anticipation. There's no fear now, just focus. Let's move, Daniel commands. Together, they enter the dimly lit warehouse, the scent of dust and metal thick in the air. Their footsteps echo off the concrete as they move deeper into the building. Leo leads the way, his nose close to the ground as he tracks the suspect's scent. Daniel follows, his senses heightened, every muscle in his body coiled and ready. Suddenly, Leo freezes. His body tenses as a low growl rumbles from his chest. Daniel freezes too, instinctively sensing the shift in his partner. Something's not right. Then, with a flash of movement, one of the suspects bolts toward a side exit. Go, Leo, Daniel orders, and in a split second, the dog's instincts take over. Leo shoots forward like a bullet, blocking the suspect's escape. The man freezes in terror, hands raised in surrender. The situation is contained quickly, and the officers secure the suspect. Daniel approaches Leo, who stands proudly at his side, his tail wagging, eyes sharp. Good job, buddy, Daniel says, giving Leo an affectionate pat on the head. That's my boy. But even in the victory, there are cracks in the surface. As the adrenaline begins to fade, Daniel senses something isn't quite right. Leo seems unfazed by the situation, but there's a flicker of something in his eyes. A subtle hesitation, a momentary shift in his posture. It happens when a loud crash rings out from the back of the warehouse. A metal crate falls to the floor with a deafening clang. Leo flinches, his body going rigid for a split second. The sudden noise triggers something deep inside him. Memories of that fateful night when the gunshot rang out and changed everything. His reaction is almost imperceptible, but Daniel notices it. For a brief moment, Leo seems like he might shut down. But then, just as quickly as it happened, the dog snaps out of it. His focus sharpens, and his body relaxes. He looks up at Daniel, his eyes steady again. Daniel stays close, his hand resting lightly on Leo's back. It's okay, buddy, he murmurs, keeping his voice calm. You're safe now. We've got this. You're doing great. The moment passes, but Daniel knows this is a reminder that recovery is not a straight line. There are going to be setbacks. There will be moments of hesitation. But in that split second, Daniel sees something that tells him everything he needs to know. Leo is still the dog he's always been. He's just carrying a little extra weight on his shoulders, and that's okay. The rest of the mission goes smoothly. The second suspect is apprehended without incident, and Daniel and Leo return to the precinct with another success under their belts. But as they walk through the doors, Daniel doesn't ignore the small but meaningful signs of recovery that still need time. Together, they've proven they can face the danger. But more importantly, they've proven that they are still a team, unshaken, unbroken. And that's the real victory. Daniel and Leo face their biggest challenge yet. A hostage situation with an armed suspect. Inside a dimly lit hardware store, a loud crash triggers Leo's trauma, freezing him momentarily. But Daniel's steady presence and unwavering trust bring Leo back, and together, they subdue the suspect and save the hostages. Later, the community honors their bravery at a ceremony. The bond between them has never been stronger. As they walk through the park, the sunset symbolizes their fresh start, ready for whatever lies ahead. No matter what comes, we'll face it together. Stronger, unstoppable. If you enjoyed this heartfelt story, don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing tales. Your support keeps us going.